suggest dampening the whole of this right-hand side where I'm going to put my red. That way we'll hopefully get no tide lines on the colour as I put it down. And I think how you put the paint down is also a learning curve, and how much you put on your brush. So if you just watch me for a minute. So I'm literally just putting water, clean water, on this, down this whole section of the paper. And I'm going to gently blot it. It's still damp, but it's not quite as wet as it is with just the water. And then I'm going to load my brush up with my red or pink, and I'm just going to literally note how much is on the paper. There should be a sort of pool of water as you bring it down. And then you can go from the left-hand side across. Now, if you can see puddles of paint on your paper, you know you've got the right amount of paint on there. Now you can do yours, please.
I think one of the key things to explore on a separate sheet of paper is whether you think is to get the 3 different colors at the same degree of dilution.
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Which is difficult because, of course, they're different colors. So in terms of how your eye is seeing it,
yes,
you're getting a different sensation. The yellow will be perceived as lighter. And I think the blue will be perceived as darker if one's not careful. Exactly. No, well, you see, I think your pink is much lighter than your blue.
Yes.
and yet when I put my pink over the pink is pink, I would say it was more or less the right tone.
Well, it may be, but the blue is much darker. If you put the blue against the blue, it's much darker.
Yeah. Okay. So, well,
that I think is one of the things we've got to be. We've got, we have a chance at the beginning to get those 3 saturations right, and I suspect they should stay the same for all the stages.
Right. Now look at that, Prue. It's pretty close. Do you still think it's darker than the original?
Much.
Okay, so I'll lighten my blue a bit. I'll put some more water in it. Now, before we go on with the blue, it's important that you dry the red, because you don't want the blue running into the red. So where the edges are going to touch each other, I would just use your hairdryer and give it a little bit of a dry.
It does take ages.
Yeah.
Where are you doing the blue? On the top of the pink?
Well, it goes all the way. If you look at the little blue L shape here, that line that goes all the way down there, all this section here to the left of that line, and then above the white rectangle to the top is all going to have a coat of blue.
I've just put my thing on the screen.
One, Chris, number 2.
Where? Sorry, I can't see what you're doing.
The second one of her, the second one along.
Oh, I
with
see,
her,
I see.
that's where the blue goes.
Right. Thank you.
And
Are
again,
you putting water on first?
yes, I've put water over the whole of that area, and then I will gently blot it with some paper towel, so it's not, you know, not really wet. It's just damp.
Yeah.
Don't forget to blot it. I love this first layer of blue over the red pink. I think it's beautiful. It gives a beautiful colour.
What, just, you know, from drawing up the grid, one of the things that's nice to, you know, follow in his decision making, if he had drawn this up as a grid, all the vertical lines top to bottom, all the horizontal lines top to bottom, then you'd have a completely sort of filled out mass of different shaped rectangles. But then he's very kind of delightfully and playfully rubbed out some of the connecting lines.
Yes.
So that you get a whole mass of different kind of rectangles happening.
Yeah.
And because he's such a genius, the resulting frames and rectangles produce an extremely balanced and harmonious whole.
Yeah.
And then he gets down to the painting, and also by his clever use of the layers, produces something which is utterly harmonious and balanced. Even though the values of the 3 colors are different, and the size and shape of the rectangles that they're in are also different.
Yeah.
But yet the thing is, it's very, very stable. You know, it's not off balance, even though I think what's clever is that the blue, which is sort of dominant, he's got a thinner L shape in the top left, going along and down. That is thinner than the red L that's based in bottom right.
Yeah.
Which is thicker. But somehow or other, they balance out. That's where the genius is. And then the yellow frame, there's a rectangular yellow frame, which is sort of sticks out quite a lot. And against the blue in the top left corner, it's brighter because the blue is darker. And in the bottom left side of that, diagonal side of that frame, it's darker, partly because it's sort of more merging with the red.
Yeah.
It's very, very clever. And the fact that there's always the complementary colors. So on the right-hand side, you've got orange against purple, which is complementary. And then on the left-hand side, you've got these sort of merging things going from blue through to green.
Mm.
And then going from the middle downwards, you've got this sort of pink, just pinky, yellowy, orangey. And then something much more ambiguous going up from the blue, pale blue, purple, sort of something orangey, which is complementary again. And then that bright yellowy bit sticking out, and then a lovely deep bluey thing happening. It's very clever. If you journey about the the surface of it, looking at how they buzz off each other, these different rectangles, slightly according to their size, but mostly according to the saturation of the colours. It's quite lovely.
Mm.
But I would never have seen all of that if I hadn't actually been crawling along in his footsteps.
Mm.
Now, according to Prue's system, the next colour we use is yellow.
Well, it has a symmetry about it, if nothing else.
Yes.
I think one needs to get the weak colour in just to see what's going to happen before these two very strong things take over. It's just the quality, I mean, it's in the nature of yellow.
Yeah. I don't know about what you think, Prue, but I would say that yellow goes over, you have to leave this inner rectangle.
Well, you've got on my thing where I put the yellow.
Okay, I'll go back to yours. Hold on.
But it's not necessarily right.
Well, let's see if our others agree.
But you have to look at the original.
Yes, I'm looking.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the only thing that doesn't have yellow on it is this inner rectangle, which is what I said.
That's it, exactly.
Yeah, everything else can have a coat of yellow now.
Yeah.
But not the blue and pink bits.
Not the blue, not the mauve, not the pink.
Yeah.
So it's leaving a rectangle, an upright rectangle, slightly off center to the right.
Yeah.
And when I was doing it, you can probably see those little pointy.
Yeah.
Yes, I was in danger of getting in such a muddle that I actually had to put those in.
Okay, let's do that then. I'm going to
For
come
the
out
first
of
one.
share.
With
and I'm
a
going to-
pencil.